It's another quiet night at the office. No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. You can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. Hey, you text that like you do anyone else. It appears on the screen here in the studio in real time. We try to work it into the conversation. Don't forget, we do stream. Other than tuning into AM 830, you can listen on the TuneIn app like thousands of stations do. We stream there 24/7. Punch in our call letters, WCRN. You'll see our logo, a little profile. Hit the like button. We know you're there. And we're very easy to find after that. Tell Alexa to play WCRN. She'll do that. No questions asked. And I do stream the show from, in this case, the palatial but not overly ostentatious WCRN studios in Westborough, Massachusetts. So you can do that on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, WCRN, or on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. That would be Facebook and X and Twitch TV and LinkedIn profile, as well as, of course, Rumble. We do it live to Rumble. We don't load it up after the fact. All those places, we're streaming right now to there. And not that it matters here, but if you were in the Western United States, Nevada, California, Oregon, you could also watch the show on the AUN TV stations out there, the network, as well as TV and radio stations out there. All right, 508-871-7000. Today, behind the glass behind the board, he'll get you set up and into the studio for two-way talking conversation. Hey, and don't forget, this is turned into a podcast, so you can subscribe to the show on Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, so that once I get off the air, it is then available as a podcast, and you can have it when you subscribe. It's notified or sent to you. You know how that works. All right, folks, a lot to talk about. The question is, which one do we want to cover first? Because obviously, I got to talk a little bit about this tragic officer-involved shooting in Pennsylvania. We'll talk about Kimmel, ABC. I got to say something about this Jamoke mayor in Dearborn, Michigan, as well. There's a lot, but I think that I do want to touch on this Codorus Township in York County, Pennsylvania. And yesterday, just as we were getting off the air here at a little after 2 o'clock, local time, of course, for Philadelphia, same as us, in a rural farm setting on Har Road near Immigrant Road in North Codorus Township. In parts of the other country, they call, we say towns, and they in other parts of the country, they commonly call it township or parish. If you go down the south, they'll say, parish instead of town. But this is crazy because this is basically coming off a domestic related type of investigation. One thing I know from growing up, the son of a police officer, I heard this a zillion times about traffic stops are very dangerous, more dangerous than people think, and also domestic calls. Domestic calls of any type are one of the most dangerous things for police to respond to because you have no idea what you're walking into. No idea what took place moments before maybe you got there. And exactly, state of mind, because emotions are very high. You may get there when one of the spouses or a grown child may have just committed a horrible act, and the adrenaline is pumping. They're in panic mode. The fight or flight response is elevated at that point. So you don't know what you're going into and what's going to happen. Now, the fact that they sent multiple, I think 5 cruises out for this investigation is interesting. And when you get to rural areas too, I mean, backup police are further away. Hospitals, ambulances are further away. It could be hours, could be multiple hours. So the risk to law enforcement in the nature of domestic warrant type work is a very dangerous part of it. I know that some people might think you're just serving a warrant. I mean, people serve warrants all the time, but they're divorce and evictions and things like that. This had to do with an investigation of an incident within the 24-hour period. So serving warrants, especially in domestic issues, is one of the more unpredictable and dangerous tasks that you have to do in law enforcement. And there are constitutional safeguards, right, for people, the Fourth Amendment rights. But there's also the reality of warrants that must be served under these risks. And how are law enforcement agencies balancing this due process and safety? And sometimes warrants can be served and they typically result in the arrest or taking somebody into custody. But it also could be a warrant for searching property without intention of taking someone into custody. But if you handle it poorly, you probably will be taken into custody. Just watch some of these audit videos online. Now, the other part of this is, and what they typically would do, guys, is, I mean, if they're going to go serve a warrant, especially in a rural situation, they do their research, meaning the officers, whether it's the rank and file officer or the lieutenant or desk sergeant, whoever's, when they set this up and send people out to serve a warrant, they're usually going to give them some background information. I mean, the address. And if they're actually on top of it, they're going to take pull off the map of the area and the property. They're going to check their database. And what I mean by that is every single time that 911 is called or the police are called, it's all recorded. And you could go to the Worcester Police Department, Framingham, Marlboro, I don't care, any department, you can hear me right now. And they have stats and ratings for every address in that town as to how many times the police have been called there. How many times has there been a disturbance there? Even the people who are associated with that address, have they ever been pulled over? Have they been arrested? This might sound a little big, brother. It's common. It's absolutely, they know all this. So if they're going out to an address within minutes or seconds, they can pull that address up and they'll get anything associated with it. Ted, you wanted to jump?
Joe, when you go to get a credit card or you go to the pharmacy, there's all sorts of correlated data that's available about you.
Mm-hmm. No.
Why wouldn't the police have that?
No, they do. Well, they should. What I'm saying, the normal procedure is when they're responding to an address, even if they're responding, now this is a warrant, right? So this was sworn out that they know this is all planned to be executed part of this investigation, and they pulled all this data. Even if they get a call and they're about to dispatch an officer, the dispatch center at the police station is looking that address up because they're going to let the responding officers, and in this case, the ones going out there, look, this is an unusually high number of calls to this address. Over the last 5 years, we've been there 7 times, whatever the case may be. I've done this, real estate wise, right? If you're thinking, I'm going to invest into this multifamily. Well, part of the due diligence is you go pull the reports from the police department. How often have police been called to the property that I want to buy? Am I buying a crack house? Am I buying a gang house? Like, what is that? What's going on? So when they showed up, they would have all registered guns to that address, any criminal records, DUIs, even traffic. So this suspect had a rifle, camouflage, and was surveying their own home. So there was a lot of planning that they actually had to do into this, but it all came as a spontaneous domestic disturbance within 24 hours, and this was part of the investigation that they were serving. So there's a lot of danger in these typical things. Christopher Paris, the commissioner for the state police, said, look, they were there to follow up on an investigation that began yesterday, the day before. The general heading of that investigation, he classified it or termed it domestic related. Now that can cover spousal abuse, somebody got hit, even something thrown, locked out, even a large, a loud verbal argument can fall under domestic related.
Even a kid being sent home from school.
And that's anything on record's on record is the point I'm making on that. And that's all going to get tied in an investigation. And that's what you do. You pull every piece of data you can. This is Pennsylvania, so it's Governor Shapiro's state. He said this is an absolute tragic and devastating day for York County and for the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, one of the 3 states other than Massachusetts that uses the term Commonwealth. We grieve the loss of life of the 3 precious souls who served this county, who served this Commonwealth, who served this country. One of the witnesses, and I did see him interviewed a couple times, said, when it broke out, it was just more gunshots than they've ever heard. He couldn't count them. It was just rapid fire, and a lot of rounds were shot off. It was pandemonium on this. So exactly how this went down, I haven't been able to see this in all these articles and exactly anyone laying this thing out. Other than it was a domestic investigation. But the point is 3 officers dead, 2 more in critical but stable condition.
Joe, does it say if they were state cops or local cops?
It was a combination of actually the county, the local police, the county, which Massachusetts, we don't tend to think of county or sheriff that much because here the sheriff pretty much deals with the jail and transporting prisoners and stuff. But in other parts of the country, the sheriff serves as maybe the only police enforcement in a town. If it's a small town, they don't bother with the whole town. Maybe they have 1 police officer, but the county sheriff patrols those roads almost like the state police, but in that local area. But folks, we have to take the first break here on the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. I'll touch on who the suspect and stuff when we come back. But stick with us on this. 508-871-7000. Lines are open and available. 617-297-8388 for the text line if you'd like to join us. Stick with us, folks. We will be back 2 minutes, 2 seconds, and continue with this edition of the show.
Looking for a fuel and food stop that truly stands out? Experience the Yatco difference. At Yatco, we're dedicated to bringing you the best customer service, the highest quality products, and a commitment to making your life on the go easier. Yatco has 15 convenient locations across central Massachusetts, and now our newest spot at 75 Quonsigamut Ave in Worcester. Yatco, where every stop keeps you going.
When you make radio central in your life, you're always in touch with the world. For the latest news and weather and lively conversation to make some sense of it all, stay with Radio Central 830 WCRN and WCRNradio.com.
Fresh and familiar New England hits, evenings at 8 on Radio Central WCRN.
Junk piling up, garage bursting at the seams. It's time to call in the mighty at Mighty Movers. They don't just move, they remove. Their junk removal and cleanout services are the fastest, easiest way to reclaim your space without lifting a finger. Whether it's yard waste, old furniture, garage cleanouts, or even hoarder cleanup, they've got the muscle and the mission to get it done safely and affordably. Selling your home or just tired of the clutter? They do offer full property cleanouts, demolition, and furniture delivery too. One call clears it all. Proudly serving Marlborough, Boston, Worcester, Framingham, and beyond. They're Central Mass's cleanup crew with a can-do attitude. Call 978-793-6165 or visit MightyMoversMA.com. MightyMoversMA.com. Mighty Movers. They bring the might so you don't have to lift a thing.
I'm Lee Gaudette from Gaudette Insurance and the Gaudette Insurance Show. You're listening to Radio Central, AM 830 WCRN.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the second segment of the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. 508-871-7000. Lines open and available. What say you? So this Pennsylvania county shooting, the shooting in, I forgot the name of it. It's the North Corridors County in Pennsylvania. And to Ted's question, it was a combination of different authorities, the local, and I don't think there were any state police. I think they were all county and local township. But the suspect is Matthew James Ruth. He's 24 years old, and he opened fire when they were coming in, when the officers returned. So there was some kind of domestic thing that happened, an investigation ensued. They returned with multiple police officers, and this guy had loaded weapons, camouflage. He had cameras and surveying the property. He saw them come in. He opened fire. They returned fire. He was shot and killed during this exchange. And I'm making a leap here, but he was probably killed multiple times over. So probably acute lead poisoning was the cause of death on that one. But he did take 3 of the officers were killed in the exchange, and a couple others, 2 other officers critically injured, but in stable condition on that. So look, they put the shelter-in-place orders were issued for nearby school districts. It was lifted fairly soon, but they walked into a hornet's nest. This all hell broke loose. What's going on here? Governor Shapiro ordered the flags to have staff. He did go visit the hospital. He did meet with the families of the fallen officers. And we do have federal agencies in on this. FBI and ATF are now assisting them. And this hasn't, anything like this hasn't happened, I think, over 30 years, maybe 40 years. I think you go back to the 80s or something like that on that. 508-871-7000 if you'd like to join the conversation. What say you? We'll do a shift in it, but let's go to the phones first. Mark is waiting patient. Hey, Mark, what say you?
Do they got a definitive ID on this guy yet?
Yeah, Matthew James Ruth. He's 24 years old.
24 years old?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a military record, does he? I hope he doesn't.
I couldn't find anything referencing in any of the articles I read yet, Mark.
All right, the second thing I want to touch upon is, did you catch the, you can't catch the Jimmy Kimmel show anymore because he's gone, so.
Yeah.
So, yesterday I watched clips of the Cash Patel show while he was being grilled by Pencil Neck from California. Pencil Neck grilled him, and what the heck is his name? He was thankfully
Swalwell. There was Swalwell got on him.
Schiff.
Adam Schiff, and also the Hirono, I think from Hawaii. I'm sorry.
Mamie Hirono, and
that woman can barely read. She
did graduate Phi Beta Kappa from Harvard Business School. I guarantee you that. So, anyways, Hakeem Jeffries, him and Patel went at it. Did you catch that?
And Booker wasn't Booker and him got into the because he told
Booker.
That's it.
You're right,
He told Booker he told him to quiet. It's my time now, and that made his head explode. And then he just told when he said, I mean, look, Mark, here's my point on this. The way Cash Patel went after it, I think he's setting this is how you deal with it because they have it just like he said. All they want is a little clip. Right, for bait clip for their social media, raise some money, and they're yelling at you anyway. So just give it back to them. Why not?
Well, that's not the Republican way. The Republicans, they like to play nicey nice.
Forget about that.
Cash Patel is showing them that we can counterpunch as well as them, if not better, and they don't know how to handle it, and they don't like it.
Which one did he call buffoon? Was it Swalwell or was a booker. He called. I think it was Shift.
I did hear all the clips.
It was
The one,
Swalwell. He called, yeah, because he said, "Look, he said, look, it's a disgrace. Your whole career in Congress is a joke." And Swalwell should shut up. He was a useful idiot for a Chinese spy. What the hell is he even still doing in Congress?
Well, that's a good question. He's from California, and California is crooked as the road to Dublin. That's why he's still in office.
It was interesting.
But anyways, he gave it to them. You gotta make time or whatever. I know you're a busy guy. You gotta watch that fracas that took place while he was being grilled. He gave it right back to them, and he gave them back in spades, and they were in shock. They couldn't believe he did it, but he did it. So hats off to Kash Patel. Have a good one, bro.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the call. I agree. I got to watch a lot of it, not all of it, but and then I got to see some of the clips, of course. And my point to Mark's point on this is good, because why not? These people have constantly, all the time, have always gone in there with these silly questions. They go yes or no when they ask this open-ended, and the hypotheticals they throw at these people. And Kash Patel he gave it back to them, and he told them, you guys, you got it wrong. You make stuff up. You're lying. Your career is a joke, especially with Shift. Shift has issues, from the mortgage fraud stuff he's committed to these contracts, no bid contracts that his businesses got, but nobody knows what the hell they were actually for. I mean, so when the FBI comes knocking at Shift's door, I'm sure Kash Patel will go on a ride along on that one. But to the tactic, to Mark's point on this, do that. Because they have no decorum going into it, the way they ask the questions and they throw out. And it's a trait to the far left progressive people, not Democrats, but the far left progressive people always do these things. They make these statements like they're just absolutely universally accepted fact, that their opinion on this and the take. And let me use this to segue into Jimmy. Yeah, you can't catch the Kimmel show anytime soon, if ever again.
You know what? I think Jimmy bounced off the trampoline and won't be coming back.
Yeah. So remember this, and I know I've mentioned it in passing in the past on the show, but this whole thing of Kimmel out there and he cries and he's this big progressive for trans rights and women's, and the guy started with that Man Show with Adam Carell, where the opening was co-eds jumping on trampolines in bikinis, and he used to do a game about guess what's in my pocket. This guy is a misogynist pig. And he took these positions to get a pass on his past. So they pass or give him a pass for that crude behavior, which they would hold anyone else who hasn't nailed at their altar, they would go after, and they would have canceled them. And he's avoided that. So now when we're in this situation, they have ABC indefinitely have suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live. Now, right before that, though, there were a couple of these companies, Nexstar and Sinclair. That was it. Nexstar and Sinclair. These are companies, big companies. They own multiple affiliates, right? So ABC, NBC, CBS, as you know, are these networks, and they have affiliates in markets across the country, like we do in Boston and so forth. But these companies, Nexstar and Sinclair, they're a group of investors that got together and they bought 10, 12, 15, 20 TV stations, and they get their FCC license, and then the FCC authorized them to have an association with the network. So these are ABC affiliate stations. And prior to this, it was late yesterday, they said, hey, you know what? His behavior and his comments, unacceptable. So if he's on the air, we're just preempting him. We'll put another show on. We'll sell the time or whatever. And it wasn't too long after that actually the network said, well, we're going to indefinitely suspend this. And then everybody, right? The Hollywood numbskulls are coming out and freedom of speech and all this. This is the problem that the Hollywood types and elites have had. For so long, they've been able to say anything they want, regardless if it's true or not, regardless of whether it's in taste or not, a poor taste or good taste. It didn't matter, because even if it wasn't true or it was stupid, no one was going to push back. And nobody was going to do anything about it. For example, the controversial comment that was the straw here is in his monologue. He said, we hit some new lows over the weekend with MAGA gang trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything so one of the MAGA, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. Well, first of all, do you know how wrong that is, and you're lying to us? Or are you so in this bubble and divorced from reality that you actually believe that BS? Ted?
When the FCC comes after you,
yeah,
ABC has no choice.
They don't have much of it, because this new chair, right, Brendan Carr, he wasn't happy with that. But let me address the whole free speech stuff and the issues that they're going here. Kimmel has the right to say what he thinks. Of course he does, even if it's wrong or exaggerated. Free speech includes you being A, a moron, B, a racist, C, stupid, D, wrong. I mean, it's all covered. Okay, that's fine. But it's on your dime and time, not on somebody else's. When he's on that stage being broadcast on ABC network and the affiliates, he has a fiduciary responsibility to that network and to the shareholders of that company. And what you say as an agent is reflective on that business. So your free speech ends the moment you sign your contract and you agree to go on the air, that you will behave in a certain way. He was too full of himself. So again, you can say that stupidity, Jimmy, on a podcast that you're paying for, or in your living room or on the street. I don't care. But not on the air. We'll dive into it a little more, but we got to take the mid-show break here on the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Back in 2 and 2, folks.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. After a drizzly start to the day, we are going to see clearing skies this afternoon with highs in the mid and upper 70s, even a couple 80-degree highs, not out of the question later today. Enjoy. Now, overnight tonight, we're going to drop back into the 50s and 60s. We're keeping it clear, and we've got one final warm day on Friday before temperatures drop over the weekend. It's going to be cool but clear both Saturday and Sunday. I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
This is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last. As some listeners know, I have a pretty famous sister. Her name is Jill Doherty. Jill has had a remarkable 50-year career in journalism. She spent 3 decades at CNN. She was a White House correspondent, State Department correspondent, managing editor for CNN Asia Pacific, and spent almost a decade living in Russia as CNN's Moscow bureau chief. Wolf Blitzer said Jill Doherty understands Russia and Putin better than anyone I know. Today, Jill is at Georgetown University, and she's written a new book, My Russia, What I Saw Inside the Kremlin. And on Friday, September 26th, I'm sponsoring a special book signing event for Jill at the Hanover Theater in Worcester. Jill will walk you through her 50-year relationship with Russia, beginning as a college student at the University of Leningrad, to her personal relationships with Mikhail Gorbachev, Boris Yeltsin, and Vladimir Putin. She'll discuss her time at CNN and countless interviews with U.S. presidents and other world leaders. And following Jill's talk, there'll be an open question and answer period moderated by former Congressman Peter Balut, followed by her book signing. This event is completely complimentary. It's sponsored by my company, Boston Independence Group, but seating is limited, so be sure to reserve your spot today for this memorable evening by calling 877-772-1776. That's 877-772-1776.
All right, folks. Here we are. We're back to the second half of the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. So Jimmy Kimmel off. Now, when they got rid of Colbert, did you think this would be much longer? Because there is a financial aspect to this, of course. But back to this free speech First Amendment thing. Again, you can speak it, right? Comedy, critiques, all part of social discourse. But the corporations, which are owned by shareholders and run by management. And I know some people, it hurts their head when I remind them of this, but the sole purpose of a corporation is to make money, however they do that. And when you're a shareholder, there's a fiduciary responsibility to the management of the corporation that you've elected and put in to do that. And that was one of the contributed factors to the fact that they were running about a $40 million loss in Colbert. And so in this situation with Kimmel, you got the broadcast license holders and advertisers. They have responsibilities. You got regulatory pressures that can force consequences. And then you have inaccurate statements. Well, that damages credibility big time. And he's been uncredible, I think, since the day he walked on that stage. Ted,
a lot of insiders in the industry have come out to say that this has been going on for a long time. This is not a
circling the bowl, you mean?
That he was not only losing money and losing share, but nobody was liking what he was doing.
No. Again, think about this. For him to get up and say something like that, and let's pretend for a moment or go along with he actually thought that. Somehow in his warped look of the world in reality, he really thought that Robinson was a MAGA shooter and big Republican or right-leaning, and like he thinks that, even if he actually thinks that's real. There isn't one guy in that staff that goes, wait a minute, we don't really know that. Never mind. Well, actually, that's not even close to true. It's the exact opposite, by the way. Nobody said anything in a meeting, no managers, nothing, which is why I've always said on this stuff, folks. I know everybody wants to go after the Kimmels and the Joy Reids and Don Lemons and all this that say this stuff. But I always say, go to the editor and the news directors too. I've been in this business a long time in news stuff, and it's the news directors and the editors of publications. They're the ones that set the tone and give the license to these people to say what they're saying. And if you come in with something that's so inaccurate and so bull, they're not going to publish it. And trust me, in this business, if you mess up that bad on the air, if you get out of the studio, you're met with your program director or GM saying that was your last show. Chances are they probably bust through the door as soon as your mic's off.
Joe, can I make a comparison?
Sure.
Jimmy Kimmel, is that his name?
Kimmel.
He's just the guy on the corner peddling the dope. It's the guys in the back room that are buying the dope and bagging it up and
they're allowing
the money.
Yeah. Again, I'm telling you, I hold the news directors and these editors, they're responsible. Because you may get away with something stupid once, and you're told you need to do your homework, because if you do that again, you're gone. And that's that. And now you're going to hear all these theories and Trump this and the regulatory. Look, he's been talking this stupidity for a long time. They're losing money as they were with Colbert. I don't know if it was 40 million in his case. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what the numbers are, but they were losing it. And you just can't say, well, you can. But the consequences are there, folks. That's the thing. He can say anything like that, but they have every right in the world to say, yeah, that's not what we want. And you're damaging our shareholders. You're damaging our bottom line. So you're just gone. We're going to make a change. And I think this will be the same situation as Cobra. That Jimmy Fallon will be the last one. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let me go to the phones. Ken's been waiting patiently since the break. Hey, Ken, what say you?
Good afternoon, Joe. Since it's Thursday, at least 3 more days so we get to talk the topic. I have some theories on our assassin out in Utah.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes. So earlier in the week, we were talking a lot about Discord and what might be happening at Discord, and maybe that is the nexus of this plot to kill Charlie Kirk. And that's falling apart. There happens to be a video breaking point channel. It tilts left, and they have an independent reporter. Well, I've seen before. I've seen him before. I've seen reasonable, and as he's describing his research, the old-fashioned way of reporting, he actually researched it thoroughly and seems to find out, there's nothing nefarious about the Discord people, or at least those that were attached to Robinson. And I'm thinking the whole Discord story is a false flag deliberately planted by Robinson and his partner. Because the partner comes out like, I didn't realize. I don't buy that bit. The whole narrative, the words that they use sound to be planned out to, like I say, false flag.
All right, Ken, let me ask you something this, because I saw some of the text exchange with this kid, right? The Twinkie kid, Twigs or something. I guess Twinkie Twigs. But the point is, he's doing these texts, and either this kid was actually really caught by surprise, or he had the wherewithal and intelligence to know everything that's going here is a record and is going to be read by A, investigators, B, prosecutor, and going to be read out to jurors and a judge at some point. So if you look at the text, I mean, Robinson's saying things like my love and this, and I hate it. And the response is like, what? What did you do? Did you do? And it wasn't loving, right? It was, and look at the other fallout, right? Because you got that NBC reporter saying, "Oh my goodness, this was so beautiful between two love struck." And then Montel Williams, what the hell do they brush the mothballs off that guy and bring him? Who thought Montel Williams was the perfect person to have on a panel about this? And he's talking about the love of the first love of his life. And are you kidding me? So this roommate, Ken, first of all, I think he knows he's in a situation where he's very dangerously close to being charged with accessory and so forth.
He's complicit.
Yeah. So he's cooperating on and under the understanding in the plea that they don't charge him, or at least they don't charge him heavily as long as he cooperates, because they want him on the prosecution side of the trial. And he's acting, he didn't say anything in those texts, the ones I saw, of course I didn't see them all, but from what I was able to see published and repeated and so forth, he didn't incriminate himself anywhere. And he acted very surprised, and he's like, what did you do? This and that. But A, he destroyed the note, right? So the kid, Robinson thought he might not have made this out. So he wrote a note. When he did make it out, and he ended up being convinced to surrender, he let the roommate or boyfriend, or whatever he is, destroy the note. Note's gone. But they recovered the digital note from the computer he used to do it. So they know what the note said. So right now, the prosecutors and the investigators have Twigs over a barrel. He's got to cooperate, or he's going to have a cell too somewhere. So, this whole thing going on, in the fact that this I think he's 77, with the old man they grabbed, what the hell is his name? It's not in front of me. Zen, yeah. And this guy, I mean, according to the thing, Robinson said just some old man that claimed he did it. So this guy took it upon himself to be a diversion, to get in, and then he goes to the police department and he voluntarily surrenders his phone. Did he forget he had 12 images of child porn on his phone? Did you get this part?
That just proves the guy's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's like the perfect defense for being a nut. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, nuts and pedophile.
Pedophile, yeah.
This guy's a bad dude.
Yeah. Did you want to add, Ted?
Yeah, Kash Patel made it absolutely clear that there are a variety of others that are complicit. There is one site that the defendant participated in. I guess it has something to do with furry living.
Yeah, the roommates are furry.
And they're saying there are more than 20 people that were on with this guy talking about it in advance. And
So-
nobody stood up.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the problem that they're going to have with this, is because people say stupid stuff in the in chats all the time. So is everybody supposed to take everything that's said there as absolute face value and act on it, or do you go, he's talking ragtime? Another before we get a break here, we got about a minute.
Check out Trans-Tifa. That's the bottom line of this. The trans and Antifa merging all over the case. That will tell the story.
Yeah. Trans-Tifa. All right. Look, this trans movement, I mean, remember it used to be just let us live our lives and just, let us have the same rights. And now it's come to, you will use the language we tell you to use. You will do this, you will do that. I've said it on here before, and to our area code 202 texter over there, to their dismay, it's a spoof number, by the way. I've always said I don't think the T should be an LGBTQ. The trans community and the gay community, they're not the same thing, and I think they should be separated. And statistically, Ken, what has been going on with this is so astronomical. We got to look at how that plays into it. Ken, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Tyler, hold on. We'll go to the phones on the other side, but we have to take quick so far today, a third break here on the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show at AM 830 WCRN, and reminding folks that we always do stream the show from whatever studio I'm in, whether it's at WCRN or the Cameo Studios. You can always watch it at the same place on my Facebook, X, Twitch account, Rumble, LinkedIn profile. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds, folks. Tyler, you're up next, buddy.
What if your body already knows how to heal? It just needs the right support to do it. Bioregulatory medicine is a total body and mind approach to health that works with your body, not against it. It's a safe, gentle, drug-free, and proven medical model that supports your natural ability to regulate, adapt, regenerate, and heal without side effects. Whether you're seeking to restore health or prevent illness, bioregulatory medicine offers a smarter path forward. Take control of your health with knowledge. Visit brmi.online, home of the Bioregulatory Medicine Institute, a nonprofit global leader offering a powerful free library of trusted resources, articles, podcasts, videos, and more, all at your fingertips. Visit brmi.online. That's brmi.online.
Hi, folks. This is Mike Stacey, head professional at Norton Country Club, welcoming you to the start of the 2025 golf season. Norton Country Club is a championship 18-hole golf course located just minutes off of 495. The course came through the winter grade, and we're open for daily fee, as well as having membership opportunities and outings available. Our clubhouse is a great venue for your wedding or group gathering needs. If you're interested, call 508-285-2400, extension 1 for events, or 103 for golf, as well as nortoncountryclub.com. Hope to see you out there.
Hi, I'm Lee Gaudette of the Gaudette Insurance Agency, a third-generation family business based in Whitensville with branch office locations in Grafton, Shrewsbury, Westboro, and Southborough. We are a full-service independent agency offering all aspects of insurance to businesses, families, and individuals. We are in the peace of mind business. Call, click, or come in to see us at any of our locations for a free assessment of your insurance needs. Also, listen to Radio Central WCRN every Friday morning at 9:30 for the Gaudette Insurance Show.
All right, folks, welcome back here. This is the fourth final segment on the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. As you know, Fridays, I'm not here. That's the day I turn it over to the boys. The brothers take it. The Hard Boys take it for the Car Brothers Talk. So they'll be here at 1 o'clock tomorrow. And this just as programming. So coming this weekend, Mike Wade actually will be out for 3. So I don't want people to panic. But for the next 3 Saturdays, and part of that will be the trip out west to with the kids and the grandkids. So good for Mike. But we will have Peter Blute will be in for a couple hours on Saturday. The last 2, we're Phil George, right, who does the Wellness Wave Radio. He's going to fill in for Mike for the first hour. Peter's going to do the next couple hours. So that's guest happening on Saturday. Next Saturday, same thing. Phil will stay on an hour, but George Landreth, president of Frontiers of Freedom Institute, will guest host for Mike. And the third Saturday, Mike's away, we're going to have Jerry Doherty is going to come in and do the last 2 hours. So that's what's going to happen for Conservatively Speaking for the next 3 Saturdays. So get that out of the way so everybody knows that. All right, 617-297. Where did that come from? 617-297-8388 for the text line, folks. But if you'd like to join the conversation, lines are open and available at 508-871-7000. Tyler, how you doing, Tyler? What say you?
I say Ted was getting sabotaged. I apologize to Ted, and there was just construction in front of my house.
Okay.
That's going to go ballistic, but they stopped, and I'll tell you what I say. It's good to hear sanity, to be back in reality. And Joe, as Ted would say, these are the facts, and it's simple as this. What we're witnessing is the actual enforcement of a law, which was intended, everyone knows, in 1948, Smith-Mundt was created to prevent foreign governments from fabricating false propaganda, initiate and create hate for attacks. Then it was amended, of course, due to the white supremacists, the extreme white supremacists, and they reformed it in H.R. 5736 because people like this are impressionable in the mind. And this idiot who says he's dating a man who's going to be a woman and then decides this guy, Charlie, has so much hate and anger, it cannot be negotiated. He goes and blows up his neck in front of everybody, and now people realize this is real. It's not talk. And then he goes to the same group that you guys just mentioned, the 15 online nuts or 20, and says, I'm sorry, I have bad news, which shows to show that their mindset is crazy once they've actually done it. And his main concern is Grandpa's rifle. VIN number might come back. It's wrapped in a towel, and they may find it. And how do I explain the fingerprints? And he's mentioned he was aware. He's aware that some nutty old guy took the blame for him, and say to get him out, and someone else dressed like him. So he's watching the crime scene. So the FBI got yelled at about the so-called footprint. You don't discuss or bring out evidence, which they'll get rid of. And then they finally got the nut because a professional investigator talked to him. Don't kill yourself, Bring the evidence, show it to you, and they'll take you seriously and give you your right, which poor Charlie didn't have the right to live. It's Kennedy, it's King, and it's right in their faces. And then these imbeciles go on the air and have the nerve. Even those other people back when the KKK, they never made that mistake. That was a religious and cultural bad thing, but they never did what these idiots do and go and mock the dead and make encouragement acts, which then encourages it more. The epidemic is getting stepped on, and these people who say that are dinosaurs. They have bad ratings because people are sick of hearing their nonsense rambling that doesn't fit reality, and they're turning away to hear what other people say, like you guys.
Yeah. Look, as far as those texts show that he absolutely, Tyler, the cold-bloodedness of this kid with calculating about the roommate to go get the rifle that were wrapped in the towel. Grandpa's gun really did a good job. It's still good. It's cold-blooded, but I'm not going with an insanity plea here. He had the wherewithal and the presence of mind to destroy evidence, manipulate witnesses, or attempt to manipulate the roommate, which he did to some extent. He knew that to wipe down and cover it up and hide it. So that's gone. Insanity's off the table here. He knew what he did. It was called. So the question is how he justified this. The diet of poison that this kid has been digesting for a few years now, and that he comes with this. And the irony of this, Tyler, is out of all the people that you want to say, that they can't be reasoned with, is the wrong guy. Charlie Kirk by far was the most reasonable person that would go for 3 hours, right? This is why this made him a very bad fascist. For 3 hours on these campuses and turn his microphone at his expense over to anyone. Oh, you're from the college Communist Party on campus? Please come up, take the microphone. Oh, you're a transgender furry? Please take the microphone and go ahead. And he would be quiet while they got their stuff out. And he would respond. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He didn't take his microphone away. He's the opposite of fascist. So he's the wrong guy to say can't be reasoned with. Some people just can't. Well, you picked the most reasonable guy on the debate stage. You really messed it up there, Tyler.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like calling Gandhi too violent, or Malcolm too aggressive, or Martin Luther King too violent. The reality is that when you go do something so sick and disturbing, and then the reality sets in, when you have culpability, awareness, knowledge, premeditated, afterthought, and guilt-conscious consequences, his biggest one is how to explain Grandpa's gun's missing, which still fires well. There's no insanity. What there is there an essence of evil. And Charlie did all those things you just did right and brought everyone together, which took away controversy and war and famine and abuse and violence and terroristic threats, which is what they do when they organize those thug rallies in Portland. They literally get the MO, the modus operandi, and the thrill out of saying and doing the opposite. The problem is you have a nation of impressionable people. And I can end this in one quick point. When I said, there's Zeitman, Wechsel, and Glauben, the time for change is good. And I mentioned the time for Falsch Hund and Falsch Dog is schlimm, is bad. In Germany, they went and burned down the Muslim comedy thing where they made fun of Al-Qaeda, but they did it at night when no one was hurt. And I realized when they asked me to state police, what'd you say? This is how a microphone is, and you treat it respectfully and properly based upon what the worst possible outcome is, and you say the best possible thing. And these people do the exact opposite. You can't fire in the theater, you can't bring a gun to court, and you can't lie and smear shit. And here's the point. When you can put AI and give someone like this that's crazy and give them false video and false audio and manipulate a disconnect with enticement, they think they're seeing and hearing real audio or video, and it's not even. It's like a sick game sometimes. It can happen. We have to look at this carefully.
Yeah, absolutely. You make some great points there, Tyler. You really do. And this is a much bigger picture than one incident or anything of this, because simultaneously, right, we're seeing members of Congress, you're seeing the Trump administration looking at laws about AI. I mean, this was a big part of this King Charles visit, right? The second state visit for president. We don't have time to get into it, but I did want to get into it. Maybe Peter or something will get over in the weekend on it. But we've got to look at all this because people are taking the likeness of, and I'm not just talking about the movie actors and stuff that they do. They're doing the Charlie Kirks. They're doing the Trumps. It doesn't take much for AI to synthesize your voice. You speak a few sentences in, and the program can record it and break it down, and then you can type something in, and I can have it sound like me. I can have it sound like Ted or Tyler or anyone else. And this is going to be a serious problem, and I think it's going to be a problem that's going to get worse before it gets better in the political arena, in the elections that are coming up. the midterms, right? In 28, because they're going to have this. And when you've got a kid like this who dropped out, and he's a smart kid, right? Didn't he have 34 or an essay? I mean, he did very well, 4.0 GPA, scholarship, and all of this. But then he went down that rabbit hole. He went down that Reddit and that whole thing of just believing what he's seeing, and then getting himself into the Discord conversations where they end up being in these echo chambers of themselves, and everybody's egging them on, and that's great, and that's true, and that's this, and this is what's happening. So now you've got Kimmel making those absolutely the ridiculous statements to the question, well, what if he believed that? Well, then if he believes something so wrong, they have a right to get rid of him, not only because they're losing money, but because he's not good at his job. If you go up there and you say something like he said on that is literally exactly the opposite of the truth, you're not very good at this job, and we're not going to pay you $24 million a year anymore. You're gone. And the Hollywood, they're getting all crazy about this and this and that. Well, this isn't cancel culture. That's different. Cancel culture was when they went after people for expressing their point of view or asking a question on a social media platform. And remember, during the last few years, that was a big topic on this show that we would talk about it, because we had Section 230 that protected these platforms. And the question I was asking then, and I'm still asking now, and I still think Section 230 has to be revamped, is Facebook and X and Instagram and TikTok, are they platforms or are they publications? If they're a publication, then they have the right to censor and edit everything, because like a radio station, a TV station, a newspaper, a magazine, they have to take responsibility for what's on their platform, like ABC just did with Jimmy Kimmel. He said ridiculous things that were lies, untruths, in the hopes of riling up tempers, and they don't want it, so they get rid of him. And that's fine. But if you're a platform, then you can't pick and choose who you want to censor. If your function, I mean, that's like holding the rack that holds the newspaper responsible for what they publish. Either you're the vehicle for it or you're not the vehicle for it. Folks, this is going to wrap up the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Follow me on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, MANGI. We are a podcast. You subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever the case may be. The Cobb Brothers back for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That will wrap it up for me, guys. Joe out.